And we're live. So welcome to Convention 2021, our second YouTube and everything virtual convention. So I'm very pleased to be able to say that with everything crossed, hopefully this is our last virtual convention, but we'll make it happen if we need to next year. So with that being said, I'm very proud to announce that we have our wonderful Jan Carley, keynote speaker, here today. Now, she is famous for being the Inner Coach of Barbershop. She is a lead of Lionsgate Chorus, and she's also their very good artistic director. She's an internationally accredited coach, and she's also the author of a couple of books, Harmony from the Inside Out and The Overtone Effect. So, Jan, welcome to Sweatlines Region 31.
Thanks, Emma. It's great to be here. Hi, everybody in YouTube land. I'm giving you all the way from Vancouver, Canada. I'm giving you a careful virtual hug.
That's exactly what we have to do right now. So without further ado, I'll let you know that we have the lovely Nikki Salt and Alison Cheney, who's going to be helping you field any questions and comments from the YouTube. And with that being said, if you do have any questions or comments, or Jan asks you to comment, please do so in the YouTube comments, and we'll make sure that that gets passed across. So over to you, Jan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Emma. And hi, everybody. It's really great to be here. You know, I was thinking I had to go look at my old calendars. I was last in your region. It was 2012. I can't believe it was that long ago. I was there for an International Coaching Federation conference in London, and I had the great opportunity to take a few days and visit and do some work with Surrey Harmony and Lace City, and then over to Forth Valley. And yeah, it was just such a wonderful time that I realized, well, 2022 is the 10-year anniversary of that. So I think I should do an in-person tour. I'm just setting that out there as an intention for 2022. Well, let's all take a breath. This has just been a wildly unprecedented time, I like to say. What a year plus. We've all felt loss and hardship and struggle and overwhelmed for personal reasons. And of course, the loss of not being able to hear and experience our wonderful harmonies live together. Yeah, my last live rehearsal with Lionsgate Chorus was March 10th, 2020. So I feel your pain, you know, but what I find incredible and actually really powerful and really heartening is that we've all stayed together as a community over this time, which, if you think about it, is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we cannot do what we actually are formed to do, yet we have not only stayed together in lots of ways, we've actually grown closer, we've grown stronger. We've learned a lot. This distance time has required us to dig deeper than ever before. We've had to learn new things. We've had to, gosh, you know, even this adapting to this virtual world has been an amazing learning curve for a lot of us. We've learned how courageous we are, and I think really learned what's important in our lives. And I know for me, and I'm sure for you, that singing and being together and our harmonies comes right up there near the top of how important that is to our lives. So we've had to be brave this year, and we're going to need to continue to be brave together for a while. I like to think of this whole COVID time as a triathlon. Now, I don't know whether anybody who's listening does triathlons. I don't. However, I do have some friends who do. And as they described it to me, I thought, well, this is very analogous to kind of what we've been going through. Because that first part of a triathlon is the open water swimming. And most triathletes will say that that's their least favorite part. It's the part they're least skilled in. And it's a little bit terrifying. Everybody runs into the water. You're thrashing about. It's dark. You can't see anything. You can't talk to anybody. It's kind of scary. And everybody says that when they emerge from the water, there's a huge sense of relief. First of all, they didn't drown. That makes them happy. But But so the water part is sort of that triage part. And I know we all remember what that felt like last year when we were in that. So there's a lot of fear and you don't know actually what's going to happen. But then we get on to our bikes for the second leg of the triathlon. And it feels great because we're supported by something and we're moving again. We're actually really moving forward again. So it has a great feel. There's air, you can breathe. There's more of a lightness. At the same time, the bike part of the triathlon is the longest part of the triathlon. And it does require endurance and resilience to get through it. Things can happen on that bike part. You can get a flat tire, you can break a chain, lots of stuff. You can hit the wall, just in terms of endurance. And I'm pretty certain that some of you that are listening have hit the wall at some point on this second leg. I know I have. About 4 weeks ago, I just emailed my director, Sandy Marin, and said, I have to take a few weeks off everything right now. I actually just need to step back and actually practice what I preach. And she said, absolutely fine. That's great. So that was my wall. So that's kind of where we're at now. We're somewhere on this, somewhere on this bike part of the triathlon. And pretty soon we're going to be getting off our bikes and into that running portion. That's the final leg. And that has its own challenges. The triathletes tell me that when they get off their bikes, they're all wobbly because it's different muscles that they're trying to use. And I think that's kind of where we're going to be. We haven't sung together for a while. We haven't sung ourselves, a lot of us, very much over this time, or as much as we usually do. It's going to feel a bit wobbly, and we're going to have to then, just join together. We're going to be together, which is going to be awesome. So there's going to be a lot of renewed energy, hope, and optimism. And we are going to have to support each other in that final leg. So when I heard your new regional song was Brave, it occurred to me that we're going to have to be brave together on this part of the not quite finished COVID detour, this triathlon that we're on. We're going to have to discover the brave in each one of us and support each other until we get back to the finish line, get back on the risers together. So I'm going to use BRAVE as an acronym for my talk today to hopefully ultimately empower you all to live creatively, not reactively. We're in a reactive state for more than a year now. And for anybody that's sort of like me, a little bit of a type A personality who likes to be in control, that's not a great place to be. So I want us all to take back our power, tap into our brilliance, and start growing forward again together. So hopefully you have a piece of paper handy and a pencil. I'm going to have a few little exercises as we go through as well. As Emma said, Allison and Nikki are going to be standing by, checking out comments. There's going to be specific times that I ask you to write in that chat area. So if you can be as participatory as possible, it's really going to be fun together. Okay, so where do we begin? Well, I was honored years ago to hear the Dalai Lama speak in Vancouver at a really big stadium, 50,000 person stadium. And at the end of his talk, he asked for questions, and somebody way up high in the nosebleed section, they had mics all over the place, and somebody asked the Dalai Lama, how can we create peace in the world? And the Dalai Lama paused and then answered with very strong conviction. He said, you can't. And there was sort of this hush, sort of a shocked hush in the stadium. Wasn't the answer everybody expected. It became so quiet you could hear a pin drop. And after a long pause, the Dalai Lama went on to say, you can't create peace in the world. You can only create peace within yourself. And once you've created peace within yourself, then turn to your family and create peace within your family. And once there's peace in your family, turn to your neighbors, and so on and so on. we always begin within. So our journey to what I call inner mastery begins with you, begins inside with each one of us. And it is a lifelong journey. This idea of personal mastery, we're always working on it. And people who we hold up as being masters in whatever craft it is, will say, oh, I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning. Now, I know you've done some work with Britta Len, and very much her philosophy of mental mastery, my philosophy of inner mastery is very much, we're very simpatico. So just know that whatever you learned from her and in working with her, it all fits with what I'm talking about today. So I'm just going to share slides for a little bit. I hope that's okay. Well, I hope I can do it. I'm sure I can. Just let me get myself together here. Share screen. There we go. Okay, share. Ah, I think I did it. Yay. So this is the B of brave. It starts with you. It starts with who you be. Now, for many of you, that is going to be a paradigm shift. Most of our lives, in everything we do, we start with doing. If we do something, then we will have something. And as a result, we will be whatever. So let's just say, if I work hard all my life, I'll have a job and make lots of money, and then I'll be happy. The being is last. So our shift is to put be first. So what would it look like if you were happy as you then did whatever you do, and then the have becomes the result? So I know if we think about it from the performance world, we think, okay, if I get all this technical stuff all right, great, then we're going to have an A+ performance, and then we're going to be, champions, successful. Well, what if you were champions? What if you showed up as champions as you were learning those technical skills? What if that was your mindset? What if that was your focus? So this is a shift for your life. It's a shift for our musical life. And what it does is it puts the power back to you as the starting point, the most important starting point, because your thoughts affect action. Your thoughts affect action. So why do we bother about this? Well, who we be as a person, I know that's bad grammar, but who we be as a person is who we be as singers. This inner mastery stuff is so important to what happens on stage. It's how we connect with an audience. It connects to our joy. It connects to our singing experience. So let's just break this down. Now, some of you who I've worked with or have read my first book, Harmony from the Inside Out, will be familiar with this. I created this performance formula adapted from a formula originally done by the Timothy Galway and Barry Green, who wrote The Inner Game of Music. And I contacted them and said, hey, can I use this? And hey, do you mind if I adapt this a little bit? And they said, sure, go ahead, which was really generous of them. So I created this as a performance formula, but actually I have come to realize that it's applicable to our whole life. And I love that. I love when something, isn't just good for one situation. So if we think about this performance formula as being applicable to our whole life, the P, which I talked about as peak performance, but if you think about that as, whatever success is or the result you want, that performance is equal to our potential, which is our skills mastery. Now, originally, the Barry Green and Tim Galway said it's equal to our performance is equal to our potential minus interference. I added the A because I felt that was really an important part of it. So my adaptation is our performance is equal to our potential, which is our skills mastery, plus our attitude, which is how we think, how our positivity, how we think about ourselves, our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our presence. minus interference. That's the I. And the interference is the stuff that gets in the way. So I want to talk a little bit about interference because, you know, it's not a question of eliminating interference. Interference will always pop up. Really, what it ultimately comes down to is how quickly do we rebound? How does it affect us? What do we have in our resiliency bank account? We'll get to that in a moment, that can help us rebound from something that interferes with our lives. So let's just think about external interferences for a moment. Now we're in the biggest external interference we've probably ever been in right now, which is this silly pandemic. A huge thing in our way. But if you think about it, on the risers, just take yourself back to that happy place. Think about all the external interferences that can get in the way of you being able to be fully present and at your peak performance. Just wondering, want to throw something, anything in the chat area, anything you can think about that might get in your way externally or in your life. What are some external things besides the pandemic that have get in your way of your peak performance or getting the result you want? Let's go ahead if anybody writes anything in the chat. And Nikki, Allison, if you see anything, just pop in and let me know.
Okay, so we have a comment, family life.
Yeah, absolutely, big one. You know, it's probably been a while since we've been, it has been since we've been on the risers. We probably forget, you know, one of the biggest ones I find, and you're all going to groan when I say this, is you don't have a window. Oh, lots of stuff on the risers that gets in the way. You know, that person that keeps talking beside you. Yeah, that's an external interference. Anything else in there in the chat?
My job.
Yeah, yeah.
And another one, general stress.
Stress, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Health, I mean, any health condition for sure can be an external interference. You know, one of the biggest things that gets in our way is our internal interference, is that mental part. And so, you know, when we think about interference, we get to the R of brave, which is resilience. And like I said, we're always going to have interferences, external, internal. And I like to think about resilience as not about fixing what's broken, but actually a strategy for staying whole, for being able to keep an even keel, even when all around us is crashing. So the strategy that I use is what I call a resilience bank account, or RBA for short. And this is something that you want to be considering all the time. How are you building your resilience, your bank account? If you think about it that way, how full is your bank account right now? Because we want to keep a healthy balance so we can draw on that bank account whenever we need it. So it's just like a money bank account or a piggy bank. You know, we want that money there for a rainy day. We want to save, make sure we have some savings so when we need it, we can use it. So this requires us to be intentional about adding to our resilience bank account. So how do we do this? Well, I like to use this, again, analogy. All those of us remember airplanes, yeah, where they say, put your own oxygen mask on first before you help other people. So take care of yourself. Now, we know a lot of these resilience strategies, you know, nutrition, physical activity, getting sleep, getting fresh air, all of that, being conscious of that fills up our resilience bank account. Other things that you might not have considered are foundational pieces. you know, like your core values, who you are, what you believe in, what's important to you in life. All of that adds to your resilience bank account. Supports. There's lots of people and things that support you, your resilience. What I really want to get into today is a little bit is mental resilience, because we don't think about that as much. When we think about resilience, we think about the physical stuff. And I started working on this with Lionsgate Chorus about 10 weeks ago. We talked about this second leg of the triathlon and realized, you know what? The vaccinations are pretty slow in Canada right now. Well, they're not slow. Let's just say they're not as fast as other places in the world. It's going to be a long time. We got a long bike ride ahead of us. And we talked about that and thought, you know, mentally, how are we going to get through this? And so I started doing a mental resilience tip of the week, every week, something small. And when I got to tip number 4, there was a collective, shall we say, a collective sigh from everybody in the chorus. And I thought, okay, this seems to resonate. So I'd like to suggest that we start with tip number 4. And it's really very simple. It's for all of us to practice self-compassion. And my question to you all is, what might happen if you talked to yourself and supported yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and grace that you give to other people? What might happen? And how might that fill your resilience bank account? Someone said that to me, well, actually a coach of mine years ago asked me that question and said, hey, Jan, you know, what if you gave yourself the same care and compassion you gave your clients? And so I thought, oh, right, interesting. Yeah, okay. So I put it on a little Post-it note, and I have it right here. It's been there for several years now. So practicing self-compassion. That's the tip number 4, and that's the one I say, let's start with that one. And if there's nothing else you remember from today, if you hold that close, self-compassion, treating yourself with the same love and care that you do others, I know that your life is going to be a lot easier over these next several months. So we could talk about resilience for, hours and hours. What I'll do is I did write an article about 9 different ways to increase your mental resilience. And I'll send that off to your wonderful regional leaders and post that. You can look at it later. There is one that I also really resonated with us at Lionsgate, and we've done it a few times now because it's really quick. And, you know, I think, I know we're all kind of stretched a lot of different ways right now. And this is this idea of creating silent space daily. And, you know, we think about meditation and mindfulness and all of that, and people go, oh, I don't know how to do that. I can't do that, or it takes too long. I don't have the time. But what we really are trying to do is to still our racing mind, all those thousands and thousands of thoughts racing around each day, and get to that calm underneath all those racing thoughts. And again, we're talking here about resilience. How do you keep going? When everything's gone haywire, this little STOP acronym is something that's really going to be helpful. So let's just do it now. So wherever you are, well, as long as you're not driving a car, just stop whatever you're doing and just close your eyes for a moment. That's the S of STOP. The acronym is STOP. Just take a few deep breaths. You know, those beautiful deep belly breaths we know how to take. And as you're breathing, just observe what's happening with your body and your emotions. That's the O of STOP. Take a couple of deep breaths. Just observe your body. And then open your eyes. And the P is to simply proceed with love and kindness. So that's a really quick little acronym to remember, to reset, to add resilience, to get you to the stillness place again, and give you some resilience to keep on going. Okay, I want to go on to the A, which stands for, the A of brave stands for attitude. And what I'd love to know is, where are you at right now? Because you are the only thinker in your own mind. And what's really important is that we first acknowledge where we're starting from. So I'm going to get my chat monitors standing by. And what I'd like you to do is to think about what one word best describes how your mindset has been over the last couple of weeks. How your mindset has been, how you've been feeling mentally over the last couple of weeks, generally. Just one word. You might feel great right now because you're here with your friends, just generally over the last couple of weeks. I'm going to get my wonderful chat people to pull out some of those, and we'll see how you're all feeling. Have you been feeling?
Hi, Jan. I'm just waiting for some of the comments to come through, but I can speak personally that I've kind of felt hopeful in that the vaccine rollout seems to be going really well in the UK, but at the same time, quite scared about going back to normal.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, conflicting emotions for sure. Anything else coming through there? I'm not sure how fast it flies through.
We have some more comments. People are weary, indecisive, and anxious.
Optimistic. And overwhelmed. Hopeful. It's a real contrast, isn't it? Different emotions.
Yeah, and I've been doing this over the last year with different groups, and it's makes sense because we are all in this together, but we're all experiencing it very differently. And tomorrow might be different again. And of course, we know even when we're on the risers that we come into a rehearsal each time, all of us in a different place, and that's of course why we one of the real reasons we do, of course, we warm up our bodies and our voices, and we want to do that. One of the big parts of that, and if you add any kind of mental preparation in at the beginning, is to unify the chorus so that everybody is present in that place, allowing us to let go of what we brought into the rehearsal hall. So this is really important. Whatever you wrote down, or if you wrote in the chat, however you're feeling, we have to acknowledge those feelings and allow ourselves to feel them for as long as we need to in order to move forward or shift how we feel. If we try to deny how we're feeling, it only makes them stronger. So there's a difference between denial and transcendence. And what we're going here for is transcendence, giving you a way to actually shift how you feel, not ignore how you feel, to acknowledge it, allow it. And when you get to that beautiful place of acceptance, then we can move forward. So I use think about this like we've all been in traffic jams, when we're driving and there's cars backed up on the freeway or the highway, for hours, and we're stuck and we're late for the appointment that we had to get to. And we start getting anxious. We've all been in that place. We're looking at our watches where maybe you're a honker, maybe you're a honker. I don't know. Maybe you're, you feel your heart race. You're starting to get more agitated and you're thinking, oh no, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. And it's not until you get to that beautiful point of acceptance where something just comes over you and you go, you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. I'm stuck in traffic. I can't make the traffic move. I'm just going to be late. And as soon as you do that, Your shoulders physically come down. Your heart rate starts returning to normal. There's physiological things that happen to you. So you're at that place of acceptance. Now, notice I didn't say approval. You're still not happy that you're in the traffic and you're not going to get to your appointment on time. But you've let go of the emotion that is really creating havoc in your brain and your body. So what I'd like to do is to give you a really simple way to be able to then shift to what you want. Now, this is a process, so you do have to acknowledge how you feel. You do have to allow how you feel for as long as you want to. You do have to get to that place of, okay, well, that's just the way it is, before you can then move past it. So my two little words, and again, if you are familiar with your work, you will remember this. And I want to just show you how this works. So when our minds are focused on that left-hand side, that sort of scowling face, when we're thinking about the conditions we don't want, or things we don't have, or worries about what might be. When we're focused over there, our brains are in a threat state. So essentially, it's all about survival when we're over in that place. We're not open to creativity. We're not operating at full capacity. It's not until we flip our mindset over and start thinking about the conditions that we do want, the desired conditions, that our brains start opening to possibilities and firing on possibilities again. So let's just take chorus life for instance. I've been doing polls with a lot of groups I've worked with around the world. And one of the biggest things that people are worried about right now is that their voices, their vocal health, that they haven't been singing, that their voices are just not going to be as good as they used to be, that they're not going to be able to sing as well, that their voice is, just going to be not as good. So when I'm over there worried about that, when I'm thinking about that, going, oh, I don't know how my voice is going to be, or maybe I try singing at home and I just sound awful, and I go down that, over there, nothing changes. When my mind is focused there, nothing changes. It's not until I go, okay, I flip my mindset and I think, what do I want? Well, I want to restore the health of my voice so I can sing the way I used to. As soon as I flip my focus and my mindset over there, my brain starts firing on, okay, well, how would I do that then? Okay. What do I need to do? Maybe I don't know what to do. So who do I reach out to and find out what I could do to start improving my vocal health? But the point is, we're in motion again. Whereas when we're over there thinking about, I'm worried about this, my voice is shot, it's terrible, nothing changes. Does that sound a little too easy? 2 words, flip it, flip it. That's all you need to remember. Now, we're not ignoring. We're not just walking around Miss Mary Sunshine like nothing's wrong. What we're doing, though, is we're calling it out. We're acknowledging it. Okay, all right, that's the situation. I don't like it. But what do I want instead? So, for instance, let's try an example with real life. And, well, not that chorus isn't real life, but let's try real life. One of my clients came to me and said, I'm in a really serious cash flow situation, and I'm really worried my business is going to get shut down because of COVID. Okay, so we have to acknowledge that and acknowledge the feelings and acknowledge that that's where the person is. But as long as we are focused in that, the negativity of that, the problem, the cash flow situation, and focused on that, my client hadn't been sleeping for days on end. Worried about this. And I said, okay, all right. So while we're in that place, nothing changes. But when we flip it and start thinking about, all right, we're not ignoring it. It's true. You have really bad cash flow right now. Yeah, you've only got however much money left on your bank draft. So what do you want? Okay, I want to figure out a way to keep my business going. I want to figure out a way to get enough money to pay my staff this week. And as soon as you start thinking about that, the brain starts firing on, all right, what do we need to do first? What are the possibilities here? I hope this is all making sense. So I'd like you to choose something in your life just now for fun. Just choose something to focus on that's personal, that it's not about somebody else, but it's about you. It's something for you, and focus on that. Maybe it's a worry you have. Maybe it's just an undesired state in your life. Something that here's a really small example. I was thinking as I was preparing for this keynote today, I was thinking, oh, I have too much material. I'm going to overwhelm everybody. And I was all panicked. I was all on that don't have, don't want place until I flipped it and thought, okay, well, what do I want? All right, I want to just make some major points. Okay, how will I do that? Oh, why don't I use that brave word as an acronym? Okay, that'll help me focus. Instantly, I was moving forward again. So I hope you've thought of something in your life. Now, I don't want you to focus on that negative part for too long, but just take a moment right now and think about all that undesired state, the thing you're worried about or the thing that isn't going well in your life. And I'm just imagining, you don't even need to put anything in the chat because I know what those words would probably be. Probably feels not great, probably feels heavy. Now I want you to flip it, and I want you to think about, in that same area, what do you want instead? What are your desired conditions? Just open yourself up to that and see how you feel. How does it feel to flip it to what you do want? See if you can write something in the chat box. Anything coming up for you? How does that feel when you flip it? Anything coming in the chat there?
There's lots of typing going on, but nothing coming through yet.
Okay.
They're fast typing.
I know, yeah. Did you do one, Nikki? Anything pop up for you?
Oh, something's popped up here. Empowered.
Oh, all right. Yeah. And interesting, because all of a sudden, gosh, guess what? The thoughts came from you. I didn't tell you a solution. You thought of where you want to go. You shifted your mindset. Yeah, that is empowering.
Yeah, somebody's put baby steps forward.
Absolutely. And I think the important word in there is forward. Yeah, because absolutely. I call it the power of incremental improvement. Every step forward is a step forward. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it is. Baby steps move you forward. A lot of baby steps equals one big step. And so if you can think about the little steps, sometimes that's the easiest way to get started.
Lots of things coming through now, Jan. Possible, which is great. A release. Back in control. Positive. Calm. Proactive. All great things.
A shift from powerless to proactive.
And happier.
Great. And that is based in neuroscience. For those of you that are listening that are neuroscientists, I'm simplifying things dramatically, but we did take our brain from a threat state into a toward state. We really have gotten us out of that survival mode and into thrival, we'll call it. I just made that word up. It's
I like that.
Yeah, thrival. Okay, I'm going to use that again. I like it. So just to recap that little process, that was a mental process we took ourselves through. We've got to acknowledge what it is, whatever's happening. We can't just ignore it. Go to acknowledge it, get to that beautiful place of acceptance. Doesn't have to be approval. And then we can refocus to what we want. Put our focus on what we want. And, we can do this. We can do this in meetings even. How often do we spend our time talking about the conditions we don't want? As soon as you make a shift, go acknowledge, yeah, okay, this is what we don't want. Okay, we never can tune that intro. That's what we don't want. What do we want? Okay, we want to stay in pitch. All right, how do we do that? It's a mental shift that opens things up. You can use this in any part of your life. 2 simple words, because where thought goes, energy flows. Back to that being before the doing. How we think is how we do. Great. Okay, let's go on to the V word. Oh, I knew you were waiting for this one. Vulnerability. And we're talking about this BRAVE acronym. So I looked up in the dictionary BRAVE. I did know what it meant, but I thought I'd like to see what the dictionary said. And it said possessing or exhibiting courage. So bravery connects with courage. And the wonderful Brené Brown, if you aren't familiar with her work, oh boy, just Google her. She's got TED Talks, etc. She's an expert in vulnerability, shame research. She's amazing. But she says you can't get to courage without rumbling, as she called it. In other words, without coming up against vulnerability. So in order to be courageous, you have to first let yourself be vulnerable. And, when we think about that in terms of our singing life, it's the next place that we're doing a lot of talking about it now. When we think about emotional connection with our audience, we can't have armor. We have to be present. We have to be open. We have to be vulnerable to connect fully with our audiences. And this is in leadership. This has really gotten a lot of attention lately too, because vulnerability isn't considered weakness anymore. It used to be. Now we consider it a really important part of emotional intelligence. It's really humanness, not weakness. So when I did, thousands of Sweet Adelines, I did polls over this last year, and 2 of the biggest top holdbacks, I asked them for what gets in your way of moving forward or succeeding in whatever you're doing in life, not just singing, but in anything. And they said, fear of failing or fear of making a mistake. That and self-judgment came up at the very top. So when we think about vulnerability, what we want to do is to adopt a growth mindset. And so I just want to explain this briefly to you, and because we'll have a growth mindset in different parts of our lives. Most of us in this day and age were brought up with a fixed mindset, which is really about kind of you are talented or you're not. I mean, even our school system, at least in Canada, we're kind of told, they're getting away from that, how smart we are, or, we get this drilled into us at some place. We think we're only, capable of something, or conversely, we have a really high bar that if we don't achieve that high bar for ourselves, then we have failed, and we don't want to do that. So a fixed mindset is all about proving. A growth mindset is all about improving. And we have to be able to create an atmosphere where we can fail, where we can make mistakes, because that's how we grow. And a growth mindset believes that wherever you are in whatever point of your life is just where you are right now, and that everybody has the capacity to grow from that point. So this is all about showing up as a learner in life. Here's me when I went back to university at middle age to get my coaching certification. And I will tell you that I went into this intense residency, and about day 3, I wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting these coaching principles as quickly as other people. I thought, I have a pretty high standard for myself, a high bar, and for me not to get it as quickly as other people, well, I thought, I guess maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should, withdraw. So I talked to the professor and said, I'm not getting this. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should withdraw. And he kind of looked at me with a kind of a smile on his face. And he said, Jan, what will it take for you to show up as a learner in this course? I went, oh, instantly my shoulders came down. I went, that's why I paid all that money. Yeah, to learn. I don't have to know how. And we don't have to know how when we're on the risers each week. That's what rehearsals are for. We're there to improve, not to prove. And I'm pretty certain in any part of your life, if you can allow yourself to show up as a learner, you will release the self-judgment. You will, it's not as scary to open yourself up to not knowing, to be vulnerable, if it's okay. If it's okay not to be perfect, if it's okay to just be where you are right now. And so that requires, we get to that together part, brave together part, that requires a lot of trust together so that we have an environment where we encourage people to take chances, to make mistakes. We encourage, because that's how we get innovation. That's connected to creativity. Not everything works, but that's how we learn. That's how we get to someplace else. So it is a holdback to emotional connection, to have that mental interference, back to that performance formula, that interference in your head. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to sing the wrong note. It's got to be okay for us to do that if we want to learn and grow. Okay, that's just a recap. Improve, not prove. Challenges help me grow. Failures and mistakes are learning opportunities. And, I would just say, I teach actually at the university. I teach the executive coaching program now as well. And this is adult learners and super hard on themselves. And I have them write on a Post-it note, right at the very first day, I am a learner. And I tell them that story because that's where I was at the beginning when I started. So if you think you have a fixed mindset in any parts of your life, I really encourage you to write those words on a Post-it note or a piece of paper and put it up where you can see it all the time. I am a learner. I am a learner. Okay, let's go to the E, which is yay, empowerment. And this is my favorite. It's what I talk about all the time. It's about owning our brilliance. And I know culturally, I certainly in Canada, and I know how you feel over there. We're kind of brought up to think that we need to be modest. We need to sort of downplay our brilliance. And my kind of assertion to this is that if we can acknowledge who we are, the best of who we are, and really let that shine. If we do that, the whole world benefits. So to downplay that is actually doing the whole world a disservice. So this is my question for you. Who are you? And maybe you don't think about that often, but I encourage you to, because success is the art of being who you already are. And that's me. That's actually who I am, that sort of zany person on the bike. And when I can be that person, that is really when the world is benefiting the most. So what I want you to do now is, this is a beautiful poem. And all of these slides, we'll get them up on your regional site or make them available to you. But it's a beautiful poem by Marianne Williamson. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around you. as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So think about you standing in your power. And I call this my 5-in-1 list, because I'm just going to give you 1 minute. And you don't have to share this with anybody, so you're all safe in that. What I would like you to do is write down on a piece of paper 5 qualities or strengths of yourself that you love or appreciate. I can already know some people are going, oh no. That's okay. So I'm going to set my clock right now, 1 minute, and 5 qualities and strengths of yourself you love and appreciate. So there you go. Keep writing. "23 seconds. And that is time. So did everybody get 5? Was that easy? Anybody have trouble with that? Yeah, a little bit of trouble? If you had trouble with that exercise, and it's okay, consider it what I call a growing edge. In other words, it's an area that if you put some attention to, might really benefit you. Think about asking your best friend, somebody you trust, your partner, what positive qualities do they see in you? Because sometimes our greatest gifts are the ones that we don't even recognize in ourselves. We just say, oh, well, that's just who I am. Well, that's what I call your secret sauce. Those parts of you that are uniquely you, that's what you bring to the world. And if you can stand in that power fully, that's when you're going to feel the best and the world is going to benefit the most. So it's time to honor that. That's how you will shine your brightest. And normally I ask people to do 20 qualities in 3 minutes. So you got off light today. But consider looking at that list, considering how am I going to remind myself of those things and how could I add to that? That is actually going to serve both you and the world the most. So let's go back. Let's revisit where we were. So BRAVE together, our acronym. Yeah, we are starting with ourselves. It all starts with who we be. We have to build our resilience bank account. We got to make sure we've got that bank account, keep adding to it. And specifically thinking about self-compassion and how to give ourselves some stillness, mental stillness each day. We've learned how to flip our mindset because we are the only thinkers in our own mind. How we can take control again. We have the power. It's up to us what we think. We've talked about showing up as a learner, allowing ourselves to have a growth mindset and keep on thinking about improving, not proving, the release that will give you, and to be empowered just by being who you are. So when I go through all that, I'd like you to just notice how you're sitting right now, wherever you are, how you're sitting. Just notice how you're feeling in your body. And now I'd like you to think about, I'd like you to sit like you are brave and courageous. together with your Region 31 sisters. So what shifted there? Anybody?
Just more upright and powerful. And because I was slouching, I didn't realize I was slouching. So I improved generally my posture.
Yeah. And so you did that. Your mind did that. I just said, hey, sit like you're brave and courageous. All of a sudden, different energy, different posture, different feeling in your body probably. So that's what I love about this work. It's easy. It might seem hard, but it's actually really easy when we break it down like this. We can shift how we feel and going forward together. So I want to just do a pulse check right now and find out, and I'd like you to put one word in the chat area. How are you feeling right now? Just put one word in the chat area.
Jan, before we get to that, I've just been asked to give you a 10-minute warning.
Oh, okay. I was trying to keep to your timing, so I'm ahead of you.
That's great. Fantastic.
But how are you feeling right now? Yeah. Oh, those some of the words coming in.
Somebody said they've stopped slumping and their head is up. They're feeling optimistic.
Great. Yeah. Optimistic. And okay. Let's hear for some more.
So we've got connected as well.
Mm.
Relaxed, calm. There's that word again, calm. Good. Content.
Oh. Yeah.
Chilled even.
Chilled. Okay.
Positive. Positive. Inspired.
Nice. You think about, how we talked about at the beginning. We talked about sort of about a third of the way through how you've kind of been feeling over the last couple of weeks. A lot of variance. And this is what I'm always amazed by, that in the such a short time of a committed community coming together with a common purpose, that we can develop so much commonality. That's what I think we bring to our music together. That's what I think creates our unity, our harmony. So I'm just thinking that's absolutely beautiful. And I really thank you for taking this journey together today. So as we move forward, being brave together and helping each other build resilience to get through this final leg of our COVID triathlon, helping each other when our tires blow out or if our chain falls off, or maybe we hit the mental wall, being there for each other. It's about intentionally taking care of ourselves, putting on our own oxygen masks, allowing it to be okay to not know the answers, to not be perfect, to be able to risk and make mistakes, to be a learner, and to create, really thinking about creating what we want rather than having to react all the time. Whew, what a different that feeling is. So as we move forward bravely together on this triathlon, we will be creative and we will be responsive, and we're going to find light in all the nooks and crannies, and we're going to help each other. And yes, fix the chains, fill the tires, and be brave together. Thanks so much, everyone. It's just been a pleasure to be here. And I look forward to keeping in touch with you.
So thank you so much, Jan. That was completely wonderful. Lots of things that have given us actually quite a lot of food for thought. So I know that a lot of people will go back and rewatch this keynote speech. And thank you for supplying us the slides so we can put those up on the website. Let me just tell you the next couple of things coming up tonight. We have an introduction to our new regional song, Brave, and an opportunity to sing along with those who have helped make it happen. And then after that, we have the first in a series of interviews that are going to be conducted by Nikki Salt. She's going to zoom in on David Sangster tonight, so that's going to be really interesting. But may I just say, once more, thank you so much for your time, your thoughts, and for everything that you've put into tonight. And I hope that you in Lionsgate also get to start in-person rehearsals much sooner than we all fear. So good luck.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye now.